No one!
The clip you just watched is one of the most famous post-fight interviews in mixed martial arts history. Darren Till just beat an elite striker in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and most of the fighting world thought they were witnessing the start of something great. Next in line was a title shot against Tyron Woodley. At that point, Darren was in the organization for 3 years and had 6 fights. He was also only 25 at the time of the fight, but still, a lot of people saw him as the favorite. He was representing a whole new generation of fighters, but what actually happened was far from that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was hoping to see. The champ is truly a champion, man. What a performance.
In the first round, nothing really happened, but at the start of the second, Tyron beautifully countered Till with his right hand that knocked down Darren. At that point, it was obvious he didn't belong there with the great Tyron Woodley. Woodley continued to relentlessly punish Till with his elbows, and for 4 minutes, Darren Till couldn't move. With under a minute left, Tyron sank in a Darce choke and finished the fight to defend his welterweight title for the 4th and final time. In those 2 rounds of fighting, Darren only landed 1 strike. It was obvious that he wasn't ready for this level of fighting. But at the end of the day, he was only 25 years old. He was still supposed to be the next big thing. His next fight was scheduled against none other than George Masvidal. At the time, George wasn't nearly as well known as he is today, and considering he had 2 back-to-back losses and hadn't fought in 18 months, Darren was a big favorite coming into the fight. Masvidal was supposed to be a sacrificial lamb. And the first 10 seconds definitely showed that this could be a quick finish for the Englishman as he knocked down George with his left hand. Gamebred quickly recovered, and as the fight went on, George was getting more and more dangerous. He started countering Till's predictable shots, and in the second round, the fight was over. Darren Till was brutally knocked out.
Caught him with that left hand several times.
Yeah.
Caught him in the first round and then caught him in the second round. He's a bad motherfucker, man.
He really is.
It's ironic how George was brought to London to be some kind of stepping stone for the Golden Boy, but ended up reviving his career with this win. He eventually got an award for the best fighter in 2019, and this knockout was only the start of his worldwide stardom. On the other hand, Darren was in a tough spot, and he badly needed a win, and 8 months later, he got it. In the middleweight division, against a highly ranked contender, Kelvin Gastelum. It wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world, but it was a good technical win for Till. The fight was scored as a split decision, but Dave Torelli is just bad at judging fights. It was a clear win for the Englishman. And this was just what he needed. He obviously cut too much weight to make the welterweight limit, and it was affecting him. So a new division could be a career-changing decision. This win against Kelvin proved that. But in 2020 came a real test. Till was scheduled to fight one of the best strikers in the division, Robert Whittaker. If he manages to get a win against Bobby Knuckles, he would be very close to the title shot. This was his opportunity to get back on track to becoming a champion. Darren started off great. He knocked down Robert in the first round with a beautifully timed left elbow. However, for the remainder of the fight, Robert was just a slightly better fighter. It was a very technical bout, but Robert's speed and mixing up his combinations was just too much for Till. Robert won by unanimous decision. Still, he just went 5 rounds with one of the best strikers in the division, and he held his own. Considering he was still young, the possibility of him becoming a champion in the future was definitely there. But his next fight against Brunson was a sign that something wasn't right. Brunson isn't a bad fighter, not at all. His wrestling is top tier, and it can be a problem for most of the middleweights. But he is a fighter you have to beat if you're even thinking of holding the belt. The only thing I got from that fight is that Darren Till doesn't really improve from one fight to the other. I think he actually got worse over time. He was doing great against Brunson with his basic 1-2, but he hardly threw any combinations. His takedown defense was non-existent, even when he got Derek hurt. For Darren's fans, this was by far the most frustrating fight to watch of his whole career. Brunson ended up finishing Darren with a rear naked choke, only 30 seconds after Till hurt him with a left hand. That says everything you need to know. In 2022, Darren Till would fight for the last time in the biggest organization in the world, at least for now. He fought Dricus du Plessis, who is the current middleweight champion. So definitely a really tough fight. And again, history repeated itself. Darren had some good moments on the feet, but the way Dricus manhandled him in the grappling was frustrating to watch. He got 6 takedowns with Darren failing to defend even one. Soon enough, Dricus took Darren down, went directly into mount, and finished him with a face crank. Even though he was on a 3-fight losing streak, nobody expected what would happen next. He asked the organization to release him. Apparently, he wanted some time to think about the future. Without all the stress this sport brings, he will train in peace as he wants to become a better fighter. He also says that he will 100% return to the organization. But after what happened a few days ago, I wouldn't be so sure about that. We have come to the sole reason on why I decided to make this video. A few days ago, Darren Till had a boxing fight. But not just any boxing fight, he was on the undercard of this little guy. That same guy that had beef with Hasbullah. The good thing is, he got the win. The bad thing is, his opponent isn't really a good fighter. He also got the win because his opponent quit. He couldn't continue the fight due to shots at the back of the head. All of this resulted in a big brawl inside the ring. It's one thing to lose a fight against an elite fighter in the biggest mixed martial arts organization in the world, but this is just sad. Allowing yourself to be a part of a comical event, such as this one, is a big indicator that something just isn't right, and that something needs to change. I don't know if we will ever see Darren in the UFC again, but anything is better than this. To think that not that long ago, he was widely regarded as a future superstar. Nonetheless, I believe this isn't the end of Darren Till. I don't think he has the potential to be the best fighter in the world, but he can still hold his own with high-level opponents. I'm aware that this sport is cruel and that it shows no mercy, but this definitely isn't the way to put your career back on the map. Something needs to change. Or else, we could be witnessing the end of a once promising fighter.